Look at that, look at that, look at that DPS.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, how are you all doing? Hope you're having a great day today. Today we will be looking at the first of many Aliens Fireteam Elite classes, starting with the Gunner and working our way down. Hopefully, my OCD does not allow otherwise. Let's go and take a look at the abilities of the Gunner real quick. Overclock gives you and your team a nice DPS boost by increasing the entire team's rate of fire, and it also gives the Gunner himself a nice reload speed buff. We can increase these benefits even more once we head into the perk grid. The second ability is a grenade that deals moderate damage in a large area. Most of the time you will be one-shotting runners with this, but on higher difficulties, your experience may vary. And lastly, it's the Gunner's passive ability, Stay on Target. This passive gives the runner 2% extra damage whenever you're dealing damage and can stack up to 10 times, giving you a whopping 20% extra damage just by shooting the enemy. So if we look at the strengths of the Gunner, is that he brings a lot of damage and a team-wide DPS increase in the form of his Overclock ability. But what does the Gunner lack if we take a generalized look at his kit? Crowd Control, also known as CC. On his own, the Gunner does not bring any CC to the table, which is very important on higher difficulties, but his lack of CC can be remedied by choosing specific perks from the perk grid. We'll go into the specific CC perks later on, but if we look at the grid as a whole, you will notice that most of our modifiers are attached to the Overclock ability. This is because Overclock is by far your most important ability. It not only increases your DPS, but also your team's DPS. If we hover over Overclock, you will see that I have 40% recharge speed and 42% extra duration. This means that my Overclock will last for about 12 seconds, more than enough time to down a big red elite, and has a cooldown of 32 seconds, which is very manageable, especially if you have a recon on your team with the Back into the Fight perk. Now, this increase in fire rate does mean that you and your teammates will be reloading more often. No big deal for you since you gain that reload buff, but your allies will be losing valuable overclock time whenever they reload, lowering their burst DPS. For this reason, we are also adding the Quick Load Interlink perk to our grid. With the Quick Load Interlink perk, you can extend your reload buff to your allies, ensuring that they can maximize their DPS whenever you're using Overclock. When we take a look at the other side of the perk grid, you will see our first CC perk in the form of Disorienting Blast, and it is attached to our Frag Grenade. This is more of a personal preference. I prefer to use the grenade as a CC ability rather than a room clear. Like I said, the Gunner doesn't bring a lot of CC on his own, so we have to compensate by taking perks that give us the CC that we need. By adding a knockdown to our grenade, we can effectively stop big red elites in their tracks, allowing our teammates to hammer down on them with their overclocked guns. Our next CC comes in the form of Suppressing Fire, which is attached to our Focus Fire perk. This combination will ensure that enemies you shoot will take 10% more damage and are slowed by 25% when at full stacks, further increasing our damage but also our ability to crowd control. And lastly, we're using the Recon Rifle training, the Dog Rifle Expertise, and the Gunner Rifle Mastery for the 15% increase in weak point damage from each, for a total of 45% extra weak point damage. The reason why we're taking these is because at higher difficulties, not only does CC become very important, but increasing your damage output also becomes very important as well. This is because enemies become bullet sponges at higher difficulties. Taking these perks remedies that problem somewhat. When we look at the guns, you can basically use any gun you so desire, but on higher difficulties I do recommend a few. The ones I would recommend for the rifle slot is the Pulse Rifle, the Heavy Assault Rifle, and if you don't have a recon, the Kramer Assault Rifle. Now, why do I recommend the Pulse and the Heavy over the Kramer when you have a recon? It's because you can attach a laser sight on them and not on the Kramer. Most recons on higher difficulties will have the Red is Dead perk in their grid, increasing damage dealt to revealed targets by 10%. With the laser sight, you reveal enemies on hit, meaning you can increase the entire team's DPS by 10% just by shooting an enemy, and you're no longer reliant on the recon's pups. For the magazine, I would go for casket magazines since they increase max ammo. On higher difficulties, you get less ammo, and casket magazines mediates that problem. For the muzzle, I would go with Precision Brake for the Pulse Rifle and the Vent Brake on the Heavy Assault Rifle. The reason for that is because the Heavy Assault's recoil is less predictable. Increasing stability helps with that. Now, for the CQW, I do recommend a shotgun, either the tactical shotgun if you want to be able to reveal targets, or, and this is the one that I highly recommend, the auto shotgun. The reason being is that the auto shotgun combined with the overclock just melts big red elites. Throw your grenade, pop your overclock, and start hammering on them as they get knocked down. I recommend the vent break for the muzzle to help with the recoil, a casket magazine for max ammo, and the hybrid sight for weak point damage and accuracy. If you're using the tactical shotgun instead, use the same muzzle and magazine, but use the laser sight as an optic so you can reveal targets and make use of that recon perk we talked about earlier. For consumables, I always take a cryo grid with me for more CC and the vulnerability assessment drone for even more team-wide DPS increase. And guys, this build is amazing. I'm using this to clear extreme and insane missions, and I'm just having a blast. The damage, the CC, the team buffs, the synergy. This build has it all. Try it out for yourself. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about it. And if you like this build, and if you want to see more Aliens Fireteam Elite builds, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you never miss another upload. And I will see you when I see you.